It's 100% entertainment, 100% electricity, 100%
Pipebomb Radio with your host, Felix Olmedo.
Be the man, you gotta beat the man,
Austin James.
And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so.
And Nate Milton.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. And if I haven't said it enough, Happy New Year. We have got a very special show planned today with the one and the only Mr. Nigel McGuinness. Unfortunately, conspicuous by his absence will be Nate tonight. But we still got Austin. That's still something, right?
That's
How you
still
doing,
something.
Austin?
I mean, thank God in the new year. It's 2015, and we are kicking it off. I mean, last night, Bret the Hitman Hart, WWE Hall of Famer. Tonight we're having Nigel McGuinness, who is a legend in his own right in every single sense of the word. But I want to kick off in saying LA Fights. LA Fights is something that's going to be it's going to change professional wrestling forever. And we're going to talk so much about that today with Mr. McGuinness and just a few aspects about his career in professional wrestling, traveling across the world and back several times and becoming a champion everywhere he went. And it's going to be great. It really will.
How great will it be, Austin?
Fantastic.
It'll be really great. No. You forgot to say your catchphrase. It'll be phenomenal.
Well, it's not my catchphrase. I don't want to take credit for AJ Styles.
Well, you might as well.
You're
the one that uses
of
the
phenomenal.
most.
You know, depending on the day. And not this morning. I probably wasn't the most phenomenal person to various people, but they still like me. So I guess I'm in business.
They still like you. They still really, really like you. No.
Nothing.
Excuse my voice, folks. I'm still kind of under the weather. Been sick since Christmas, so it's been kind of kicking my butt. But nonetheless, we've got the Royal Rumble coming up. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. Oh, my favorite time of the year. That's all I'm going to say.
2 weeks away, right? 2 weeks away on
something
the
like
WWE
that, yeah.
Network. Oh.
Only
Yeah.
for how much?
I think it's like $8.70. Is that what everybody's saying? Yeah, $8.
I thought it went down to $1.99.
No, you may be right.
No.
I know that
Come
in
on
Japan
now.
Pro Wrestling World's like $8.50. I have it, and Wrestle Kingdom 9 is this Sunday on pay-per-view. Jim Ross and Matt
But
Striker
isn't it the 9th, or I thought it was the 9th.
No, it's Wrestle Kingdom 9. That's what I said. It's this Sunday.
No. But I thought. Well, maybe I read it wrong. I probably did. I could have sworn I thought it said January 9th it was going to come on, but maybe I'm wrong. But that's been a really big thing. Really big
yes,
thing.
It is.
Jim Ross and what do you call it? What's his name?
Matt Striker.
What is his name? Striker.
Matt Striker.
That Striker dude.
And
he's going to be calling the action. What a coup for the two of them.
The first time Jim Ross has commentated a professional wrestling event in like a year, right?
That's a good thing, and kudos to Jeff and his company for grabbing him. I think it's definitely well worth the idea to put one of the greatest voices of all time on there with a young up and comer. I don't know if you want to call Stryker a young up and comer, but he's doing well on Lucha Underground now, so I'll give him that.
Without
any further ado, I do believe we have the one and the only Mr. Nigel McGuinness joining us.
There I am.
Welcome,
How are
sir.
you, boys? Can you hear me?
Can hear you loud
Perfect.
and clear, sir. Welcome to the show.
Fantastic. How are you?
Doing great,
I'm
doing
doing
great. As
excellent.
Austin would say, doing phenomenal. But I actually would like to kick things off and get this show on the road here by getting to know a little bit more about the man himself, Mr. McGuinness. At what age did you become a fan of professional wrestling? Who were some of your heroes at that time?
About 14 years old, like Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Nice. And those were some of the people that kind of got you interested in wanting to get involved with professional wrestling, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And right here to kick it off right now, you're actually in the process of creating, in my opinion, probably one of the most revolutionary things that we're going to see in professional wrestling, LA Fights. And you guys can actually check it out for more details at lafights.com. and you can back the project. I believe $370,000 has gone into this. So we definitely can't do it alone. Nigel, explain to us what exactly is LA Fights.
It's a 6-episode TV series. It's, as you said, kind of evolves the pro wrestling genre in every way that it can be. As I already mentioned, it's a 6-episode TV series versus a 52-a-week year regular show. The in-ring style is closer to MMA, but it still remains true to its pro wrestling roots. The storylines are shades of grey, involving characters that you like but sometimes disappoint you, and characters that sometimes surprise you even though you hate them most of the rest of the time, you know. It's I basically said to myself, if I had carte blanche, I had a blank slate to reinvent the pro wrestling genre without having to be answering to any political forces, without any bigger companies, then what would I do? This is what I would do. You know, I think it could reinvigorate, it could show what is possible in the genre. It could provide guys places to work, and it could act as a blueprint for smaller companies to make profitable content, as opposed to trying to continue to run small shows and compete even on a small level with a big company like WWE.
Now, for people
would
who
that eventually lead you
on...
to be would that eventually lead you to be, maybe become a promoter of yourself, or what would you say to that, Mr. McGuinness?
No, it's a TV show, so it's not even the same thing, really.
Gotcha.
You know, I'm not starting a promotion. I'm putting a TV show on, which sort of is. I'm using everything that I've learned within the pro wrestling industry, but it's a completely different model.
Gotcha.
It's a 52-week-a-year model, so it's not going to be a promotion. We're not going to do tours or anything else with it. It will be a TV show, but using a lot of things I learned within the pro wrestling industry.
Now,
Gotcha.
for actually backing this project on Kickstarter, actually seeing you can get a few really nice prizes depending on how much you can afford to put into the Kickstarter campaign. Can you name a few of those prizes you can get?
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and if you go to lafights.com and take a look yourselves, you can obviously see that far better than I can explain. But the $20 reward, I'm doing video blogs, and a lot of people, you know, they don't really understand how things work behind the scenes in terms of making a TV show, and I think there'd be a lot of insight and interest into that. So for the $20 level, you get to however often I shoot these video blogs and sort of explain what's going on with the project as we go forward. That's a great insight into the industry working behind the scenes. And then there's also a walk-on part for a few grand, an executive producer credit, which will put you at the front of every single show, opportunities for advertising, T-shirts, scripts, obviously the finished DVD, all manner of different things. You can check it out.
Okay. And what will, in your opinion, and how would this be different than any other of those type of shows that will? Well, let's put it this way: like if we were to go with a Tough Enough, if we were to go with Gut Check, is that? I mean, how would that differ from those type of prospects? I know you said it's going to be more of a TV show. Not
even in the same ballpark. That is
Gotcha.
a reality show. What I'm doing is a scripted drama, comedy, dramedy, if you will. So it's not even in the same ballpark. They're showing behind the scenes and presenting pro wrestling as it is, as a scripted, choreographed fight entertainment, whereas I would be presenting it like a TV show, as is real. You know, we're not sort of seeing how actors work in a regular TV show. We're seeing them act. They'd be doing the same thing.
And we can compare this to his shows like, Breaking Bad and especially Game of Thrones, which is the acting level over the top. And I think with LA Fights, and combining that professional wrestling aspect of things in UFC and MMA into one thing is going to be something interesting, because I can't recall seeing anything like this before.
There really hasn't been. I mean, that's the truth. And the funny thing is that most of the integral parts of what I'm presenting here, people who are listening to this now, I'm sure have thought of them themselves, but only portions of it. They may have thought, why can't storylines be more shades of grey, more complex? Why can't it be a seasonal structure? They may have thought, maybe the in-ring style of pro wrestling needs to evolve and be closer to MMA, because that's what the public has a conception of what a real professional fight looks like nowadays. but no one's really put it all together into one clear and concise project and put a price tag on it. And that's what I've done. I've spent the last year and a half developing this, writing the script, finding a budget, working out with people what exactly it will cost to become a reality, and that's where I am now, to where I need the money to make this a reality or not.
Okay. And have you gotten some of, I mean, in your opinion, Mr. McGuinness, I mean, why do you think that maybe a lot of the fans have turned away from pro wrestling and decided to maybe invest more so in MMA? And like that, I guess the reality of it, it's changed a lot over the last several years. In your opinion, why do you think that maybe fans have turned away from wrestling in general and went towards the MMA faction or idea?
Well, I mean, people grow up and they move on with many different shows. If you look at most shows, they don't last forever. Whatever happened to the show is, it has a certain limited time life. That's why, of course, we get the phrase "jumping the shark" from Happy Days, which didn't last forever as well. And there are shows that we watch when we're younger, and then we just grow out with them, and we evolve. And if the shows don't evolve with us, then we move on and find something else. WWE still has a demographic, and they still appeal to a large number of people. It's just not the people that were watching arguably 10, 15 years ago, because it's no longer the same product that it was back then, But those people, they still want to watch TV, and they've found something else that works for them. And I guarantee you that my project will work for them too.
Now, one of the most interesting things I think about this project is watching a video on LAFights.com where you can back it. You mentioned that if this project is funded, you're stepping back in the ring.
Yeah, part of it, I wanted to try and sweeten the pot, so to speak, and I've often had a lot of people say to me, when are you getting back in the ring, and will you ever wrestle again, all that sort of stuff, and I've always said no, simply because I don't feel outside of WWE there's anything I can really do that would add to my career, to my body of work, so to speak, and I feel as though the pro wrestling style as it stands right now is rather bump heavy, and I don't feel like my body would really hold up to that. And part of the evolution of the in-ring style for LA Fights is a style that is less bump heavy, at the same time being far more believable.
And will most of this actually be primarily filmed here in LA, or has it been primarily filmed here in LA?
No, nothing's been shot so far. Obviously, being called LA Fights, that's where it's going to be. That's the idea of where to shoot it. I mean, probably not within the main city itself because of the cost of doing that. I have a couple of venues in mind, and I'd obviously look more into finalising one if and when it gets funded.
So where was the inspiration? Was it recent, or was it a few years ago where you had the idea to come to this point to make something within your mind that is LA Fights?
Very. I mean, the sort of the initial seed of an idea came probably 5 or 6 years ago, really, when I started to think about, what could be done in the industry, and why at the time I was working for TNA, why they can't compete with WWE, and if someone, as I said, gave me complete carte blanche to do what I wanted, how could I change things to really get the most out of pro wrestling nowadays and compete and evolve the product such that, our generation can really put a stamp on it and say, this is what we did. But it was really only in the last 18 months after I'd finished my documentary and sort of moved on from that I started putting the groundwork into making this into a reality by writing the script, and I brought Jimmy Jacobs on board as a script consultant to sort of make some of the storylines more realistic, bounce ideas off, and obviously I have a couple of producer friends out here that have helped me. So really the last sort of year or 18 months I've really put the large portion of work, and it has been hundreds of hours that I put into it so far just to get to this stage.
And are you, if you don't mind me asking, are you still somewhat affiliated with Ring of Honor?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I will continue to do so. I still believe wholeheartedly in the company. They're still my family, very much so, and I still believe in the product that they're putting out there. I still think bell to bell, it's some of the best pro wrestling in the world as it stands at the moment, What you've got to understand with LA Fights is I'm not presenting it as competition in any way, shape, or form. I'm showing there's a huge gap in the market for a new product that appeals to both MMA fans and pro wrestling fans of old that perhaps don't watch the mainstream product anymore.
And for people who actually had the opportunity to watch Last McGuinness, I just want to say one of the best documentaries I've ever watched in my entire life. I'm not just saying that because you're on here right now, truly and honestly. And I'm looking forward to this being made. I have high hopes into LA fights. I plan on backing even more than I haven't. I put in a little bit of money. What is it called? Recently, and I plan on doing more within the coming weeks. But people can actually go to LAfights.com. And, whatever they can afford to put into this project, I highly encourage to, because Nigel is phenomenal at every single thing he does, and I'm absolutely sure this is going to be no different. LAfights.com.
Thank you very much. It really does mean a lot to me, I mean, that's why we're getting close to about $25,000, which is still only a small portion of the $370 we're looking at by the end of January. But the number of people that have come on board and have believed so wholeheartedly in me and the project really does mean a lot to me. I mean, part of the documentary, the resolution to my career, so to speak, was seeing how many people cared about me and, funded my first Kickstarter to make the documentary. So I'll always feel indebted to them, and the reason why I get up every morning and get on the computer and start posting on Facebook and Twitter and reaching out to people and emailing all the previous backers is because I want to reward the people that do believe in me still and do believe in this project and can see it and can realize what a huge influence it could be on the industry if it gets funded. I want to reward their support. I don't want to give up on them. They believe in the project as much as I do, and I hope we can convince other people too as well. But time is ticking away. Time is of the essence, and we really have to get things moving. We have to get people on board. We have to get people talking more about this and opening up a discussion to, what can be done within the genre, or is this all for now? Should we just accept pro wrestling is where it will always be? Let WWE present their product as it is, and just leave it at that? I don't think so. I think there's a huge gap in the market. I think we are full of talented professional wrestlers, talented promoters, talented writers, talented artists within the professional wrestling genre, and there just isn't enough jobs for them. And I guarantee you that if this gets funded, it will show a way that so many more people can make money and produce a very profitable content.
And, with that, I definitely would love to touch on the fact that once this does get funded, I have all the confidence in the world that it will. Once it does get funded, I would definitely look forward to watching this series unfold. And what you've got up your sleeve, Mr. McGuinness, I'm pretty sure you've got big surprises up your sleeve once this thing gets off the ground. And on behalf of myself and Austin, we can't thank you enough for gracing us with the time that you've given us to just give us a little insight on what you've done so far and what you plan to do once it gets going. I personally look forward to checking out your documentary. I've heard nothing but really, really critically acclaimed, good reviews for this. And we wish you the best of luck with it. Hopefully, we can talk to you again once this actually is funded, and find out how what you guys what you have in store for us later down the line.
No worries, no problems at all. Thank you guys for taking the time, and thanks, Austin, for getting behind this so much. I really do appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me.
Not a problem, sir.
All right.
Take care of yourself and have a great day.
Cheers. All the best, boys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
There you have it, folks. The one and only Mr. Nigel McGuinness. Austin, take a breath. Kidding.
No, he's so awesome, Nigel. And
he kept it simple. He kept it straight to the point. Back to project. He's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, and he's not done yet. And I was going to suggest something, and maybe you can suggest it to him. Looking at ideas, because I think I could have swore I read something on here in his Kickstarter. His Kickstarter ideas to go with as rewards, and it's just an idea. I'm looking back on some things that maybe Razor did or even Jake did, where there have been Twitter follows or shout-outs or even a phone call. People would get a kick out of that, but I don't know how busy he is. He might be busier than they are. And that, obviously, with all the stuff he's invested in, time he's invested in this, that may not be a good idea. But he's given us time to promote it, and, we can't thank him enough for that. But, it's just an idea. We'll see where it goes, and hopefully
LAfights.com
will jump on board.
Is where you can actually head over right now, and this is the thing, whatever you can afford to put into this, you're putting in not only the money in order to fund this project, you're changing the future of what we see as sports entertainment. Really, and truly, honestly, it's sports entertainment, and it's going to be, I think, one of the most revolutionary products that you can feast your eyes on if it gets funded. And I have wholeheartedly, in every single aspect of the imagination, believe that it will. Because Last McGuinness, if anybody's seen that documentary, and I've watched it many, many times, Nigel is phenomenal. I'll mention it again. Nigel is phenomenal at everything he does. And being a film producer is one of them. Being a wrestler is another. And this is going to be no different. I cannot exclaim that enough. LAfights.com, guys. LAfights.com.
My goodness, it was like Nigel was Mike Tyson and you're Don King. Only in America. Vote for my man right here. Only in America. He's going to work for you, and only in America. All right. Sorry, I had to throw that out there because you were definitely his. You were on top of your game tonight, my friend.
Well, I always am. No different.
Oh, really? I don't know about that.
Second...
I can ask Nate about that. He may disagree too.
Well, Nate's going to say it again. Nate's always going to say that Austin's on top of his game. That's just like Triple H. How about that? He is
Lord.
Again. Mm.
And one way or another, that big nose freak is going to be back on TV again. He'll be back on very soon. That they're going to try to get him back on to face the vigilante Sting.
No, when Triple H, honestly, God, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for anything he does.
Maybe not.
He is one of the best of all time. He's a ring general, and he's taking care of the future, and the future is now. It really is. And with NXT on the WWE Network, you can check out the future. But speaking of the future, that's LAfights.com. And I'm not.
I wasn't waiting for that. No, definitely consider it, folks, because you know what? Not a lot of these Kickstarters come around that actually really get you feeling good about something, that you really help and take part in something big. And you know what? Nigel was right. The wrestling business has really been in a slump. And something that can help pick it back up and dip into the MMA as well, which is what WWE tends to do, and so does TNA sometimes. Not as much as they should, but they do. Why not?
With professional wrestling, there's only so much you can do. Within a particular market, there's only so much you can do, and so much I think there's too much insulting one's intelligence, in my opinion. And I think if you're just laying it on the line, basically, here it is, we're doing this, and it's a show. Whether anybody's admit it or not, it's a show. And I believe LA Fights is going to be a show like we've never seen before. Like I mentioned to Nigel a few minutes ago, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in my life. The idea behind it, bringing MMA, bringing all aspects of MMA, UFC, professional wrestling, the one, and just when I say on the nth degree, making it that much bigger on just a bigger stage and just a more surrounding story. Then and this is what I'm getting from the reading about the project of the past days, and then just making about a show that you're entertained in with watching like Breaking Bad or The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones. All that the show is Dexter. I'm sure Felix is a fan of Dexter. I have yet to watch it, but what I'm hearing about it is it's one of the best shows that people can ever watch, and I believe that LA Fights has that potential.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll buy that for $1. No, not really, but you get my point. No, it was nice of him to do that. He's not one to give very many interviews, and just to give us a little piece of what his pie that he's doing with this, and still shows the love that he does with Ring of Honor, and the best is yet to come. He's got plenty of time. Invest what you can, folks. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Royal Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Who are you calling as a winner this year?
Roman Reigns.
You think so?
Absolutely.
I think John
Every
Cena.
Single aspect. I don't know.
No, I don't know.
I think Roman Reigns is getting crap for everything he's doing, and what people honestly, I think Roman Reigns knows where his position is. I've never seen a Samoan that couldn't wrestle, but Roman Reigns is on a different level.
I think the only thing that he lacks, and it ain't much. It ain't much. Because on Hawaii, the Fatu family don't lack very much when it comes to, when they have it, they have it. But the only thing that I could see that maybe he lacks, let's just say a kick in the pants, and he's that little, just of a smidge of an adjustment. Promo work. Just a little better. He needs just a little bit more work. Not much better, but just a little better. What do you think?
Because when you look at a guy like Roman Reigns and you just see him, he's a superstar.
Don't you think that either he needs to be a good talker too, or do you think maybe he should be better off having a manager?
Well, I think he's a man for himself. I don't know if I would put him with a manager. I think he has the ability to, within time, progress and become more of a, better on the mic.
Because if you look at a Seth Rollins or a Dean Ambrose or even a Bray Wyatt, those guys are hell of a great talkers.
But keep in mind, this guy, Roman Reigns, he wasn't in independent wrestling. He grew up around wrestling his entire life, but that doesn't mean he necessarily got a gene where it's like, I'm going to talk now.
No, I understand that. Things take time. He can get better.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Brock didn't talk right at first, but he did. He did start to eventually.
Yeah, but he had a manager, Paul Heyman. But that's with Brock. Paul Heyman works with Brock Lesnar well because they're just two peas in a pod. With Roman Reigns, who are you going to put with Roman Reigns? That's not going to take the light. You can't take the light of a Roman Reigns. He's
sadly, if I was to suggest his father coming in, then his father might take the light away a little bit. Sika from the Wild Samoans.
Well, I don't know if it's a joke or not, but I mean, it's Roman Reigns. He's the man. And last year the Royal Rumble.
No, fair enough.
I believe he I think he broke Kane's record for eliminations. He beat it. Yeah. And he beat it. And
then some. And then the crowd got mad because Batista won it. I got mad too.
Well, no, remember that last year, Rey Mysterio was number 30. They were all expecting Daniel Bryan to come in and save the day. I know.
I felt
really bad for him. And I still feel bad for him to this day because I have no clue what he's doing, where he's going to be in the future.
I think he's got one more run left in him. I think WWE is going to milk him for all he can give him. Because at this point, Ray is he doesn't have much left to give, and that's not saying anything disrespectful. But after 20 plus years, and his body completely beat up, how many knee surgeries has he had? Countless. I don't know how much Ray's got left, and he's a future Hall of Famer, no doubt. One of the smallest world heavyweight champions they've ever had that I can think of.
This is where the problem lies, because. And it's not his size, because he's proven time, and I can't even mention too many times to count that he is one of the best of all time. And his size is not a matter, and he can prove that without a shadow of a doubt. But I mean, the whole entire thing is that they're out with the old and in with the new. I mean, if you look at today's roster, it's comprised of people who, for the most part, came from NXT. And
the sadness about this is that lately WWE has been having to rely on a lot of the old-timers coming back and give her a good pop to get the crowd into it again. Not so much that they had to actually get in there and wrestle, but Hogan coming back, Edge and Christian coming back, Chris Jericho coming back. I mean, I know that they're building stars and it's taking a little longer because these stars are not at the same caliber as Stone Cold was, a Rock, a Triple H, Undertaker, and they're back. They're going through that transition that they went through. Is very similar to what they went through in 94, 95, 96, building the new generation, so to speak. So they're there. They're almost there. They're not there yet. But too much relying on the old-timers, it can work to a point. You overdo it, it's going to continue to be something that they rely on too much, and the youngsters go nowhere.
Well, I think it happens, every once in a while, like with
WrestleMania is one thing. But as far as the TV shows go, you got to rely on the younger talent. How are you going to get them over if they're not seeing them every week?
That's where the future lies. today's talent NXT. And there's a lot of guys on there. I can mention them. You know, Adrian Neville, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, who just
I read something about him.
Yeah,
Adrian Neville.
Insane,
people are freaking out because they think they're going to make him into some kind of mockery of a Mighty Mouse.
You know, I think because you've seen with Adam Rose, not knocking him at all, but I
actually enjoyed his character, but you know what?
Yeah, but
the WWE audience today is very fickle. They either really like you, or they really, really don't, and they just don't care, and they just won't cheer.
I think there's a middle ground where they tolerate so much, but it comes to a point, and this actually go back to LA Fights, where there's a bunny walking around the ring wrestling. It's like, you know, when you turn on USA, what is this, you know? Why is that bunny in the wrestling ring when I can be seeing, you know, somebody else like Sami Zayn or something taking the spot?
Well,
see,
that's just the problem with WWE today. They have no competition. They compete within themselves. They compete with other television shows. They don't need to do that. They need to compete with other wrestling shows. No other wrestling show has that kind of financial backing anymore. You know, it's something that's an ongoing topic that nobody will, you know, they have these little territories, which is cool. It's good. It's great. Hell, I mean, it gives you time to train. You know, get yourself built up to a credible character. You know, more power to the guys like the Wildcats and the Reality of Wrestling and the Elite and the, you know, you name it. You got them going. They're out there building themselves up, making a name for themselves. Good for them. But when it comes to big companies, you need to have some, you know, get the television. Get on television. TNA, you know what? I wish them luck. I pray that this Destination America works out to their benefit and they start focusing on younger talent. Enough with the old talent.
I think they will.
You know, they've got Kurt Angle, they've got Jeff Hardy, and that's, I think, maybe a few others. Maybe Tommy Dreamer, I guess. I don't know if he's still, maybe the Dudleys. I don't know if they're still there or not.
Well, you know, I mean, it's
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect from them either. But within the coming weeks, I believe they're actually, you know, Destination America. We're seeing what they're doing now. I mean, they premiered their show, but I mean, we're seeing what's going on, and I don't know. I mean, I think that we're just starting out, so there's a lot of room to expand and to really mature themselves into more so than they have been. But I think they just need to make better decisions when it comes to not only talent but how they position them into, you know, being on TV. I mean, Destination America isn't available everywhere. And I actually just recently got a channel. I didn't, you know, purposely get it. I mean, I wasn't gonna go out of my way to get it. That's what I'm saying.
No,
yeah, I have to upgrade. But do you think people are actually gonna upgrade? Actually get out their seats and head over to their Charter or something, or whatever their TV provider is, and want to get Destination America? I mean, if they have, it used to be on Spike TV.
Well, it was the same thing that could be said about Lucha Underground when they came on last fall. You know, Lucha Underground's not available in every you know, channel that they have out there. They have Mundos, I think they had that on there too, but
Uno Mas.
Or Uno Mas, that was the one, yeah. But, you know, shows aren't available. You only get so much access, and, you know, until they get somebody to step up to WWE, which is far-fetched to say the least, because they just don't have it. Nobody goes back to the LA Fights thing. Maybe they need something to trigger that interest again. Maybe this is a ticket. You don't know that unless you see where this goes, and in order to see where it goes, you know, we got to get it funded.
Well, you got to keep in mind that, I mean, you were mentioning, I have no clue why, but I mean, you're mentioning it was like a tough enough or a gut check when this is, you know, has nothing to do with it. It's about you know, it's like Breaking Bad.
But you know what? It's going to be compared to that because, you know, nobody knows exactly what he has in mind with it.
How is it
ordinarily, when you think of and this is not to be disrespectful in any way to him, because trust me, it's not. When they see that a wrestler is becoming involved in some kind of idea of a reality series, what do you think the first thing that pops up to their mind? What do you think they're going to think of? It's going to be some kind of wrestling show. No, not to people who know it, but first impression. Honestly, if I didn't know him like I do, and like obviously you'll tell me if I don't get it right, I would have assumed that. I'm just calling it like it is, and I'm not saying it to be rude or disrespectful because that was not the intent.
Next question:
unless they know, they don't know.
Did you assume that Lucha Underground was a show about people getting trained?
Lucha Underground had a little bit more specifics as to what they were going to be.
There's a lot of specificity. If you go to LAFights.com, you got to read.
Well, there you go. Those who don't know will get a little educated, and there you go.
That's what I'm saying. LAFights.com tells you everything. I mean, it isn't going to be... When I mention professional wrestling being in this, it's different. He's changing the genre, completely.
Fair enough.
He's kind of tweaking a few things, and he's adding a few different flavors, here and there of, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, all aspects of MMA, and then there's going to be, on top of all that, more realistic fighting and storylines where you're actually intrigued. You want to wait, you're texting your friends during it, what's going to happen next week? That's the type of show LA Fights is going to be.
Has this been one of the
carrying anticipation?
Has this been one of those Kickstarters that kind of, I don't know what's a good word to describe this, because you've taken part in a few, and then backed a few. Has there been more? What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word, but it's where you have high hopes and expect nothing but the best coming from this once it's off the ground and running. But in order to get there, we obviously got to get the money, of course. But you just feel like you want to invest all you can to help them spread the word. Let me put it to you this way: like it was for me when I was helping Kamala, because I know I was going for a good cause. And not saying that this is not totally different scenarios, obviously. But do you understand where I'm going with this? Like, you want to just invest everything you can, do all you can to help them spread the word because you know it's going to be something special.
Yeah,
you get where I'm going with this?
Because I remember when Nigel McGuinness, he had the Last of McGuinness Kickstarter out. When I seen that, and I seen his idea, being a fan of his beforehand, and I don't think Nigel even gives himself enough credit, because there's a lot of people that love him. There's a lot of guys and girls that love that man, and he's phenomenal, like I mentioned, at everything he does. And watching him before Last McGuinness came out and his entire tour around the world, before actually hanging up his boots. I was a fan of his before that because I respect his work. That's why fans today are supporting LA Fights, because they supported the Last McGuinness documentary, which is amazing on all levels of the imagination. And this is going to be no different. LAFights.com. I can't even explain, because when you say, and the fans of professional wrestling are always, and UFC for that matter, are always wanting to be a part of something.
Well, even the fans of the UFC are not always satisfied.
No, but you understand, nobody's going to be satisfied with everything. I mean, even LA Fights, if they do, this is all fun, which I have no doubt that it will, that it won't be. I mean, I believe it will, and with every single fiber of my being. But there's still going to be people that are going to be, oh, well, this could be like this, and this can be like that. It all comes down to I guess, what type of person you are. Everybody's different. Nobody's going to like everything. Nobody's going to like chocolate ice cream or, over vanilla. I mean, I think vanilla is a little bit better than chocolate. See, that's just my opinion. But with the LA Fights, this is going to be a whole different ball game. Nothing to do with Tough Enough. With a jet check, this is a TV show.
I get that, but you know what? It was good. It had to be a question. It may have been a question that maybe one of our listeners had. You don't know that.
Well, I mean, if you...
So I asked a question. And you know what? I appreciate and I respect Nigel for giving me a straight answer, because that's all I was asking. That was it. It wasn't mean to be rude or disrespectful or whatever. I never come off to try to be that way, so... If any of our listeners felt that they'd be like, God, Felix, why'd you have to ask that question? Because I get that a lot from Austin. I'd be like, God, Felix, what's wrong with you? What are you asking these stupid questions for? Nobody wants to hear you babbling. So, anyways.
Well, I mean, it's all the information's on LAFights.com. And if you read, I'm pretty sure you'll find out a few things about it. I mean, there's a lot of money that needs to go into this in order to actually make it a reality. It's $370,000. That's $500,000. And... You cannot do it alone. That's actually really an understatement. I mean, with the fans of professional wrestling, I mean, this is the time that we unite and make this actually happen. And it is only a few more weeks until the ending date for the Kickstarter is going to be, finished. And Nigel even said, I've seen it in one of his recent blogs, that he might go with the idea that if it doesn't get funded this time, that he's going to reopen it within the future. I hope he does, because I'm saying I hope he does. I'm not saying it's not going to be funded. It will, without a shadow of a doubt.
One way or another, by hook or by crook, this will be funded. One way or another, because it's something. It's one of those type of moments when you know something special is going to come of this, and we just got to keep people pushing and spreading the word. And even if you do it on Twitter, do it on Twitter. Get people to retweet it and look into it and find out what it's all about. And the more people you get talking about it, the better. People know who Nigel is. Whether you're a WWE fan, a TNA fan, a Ring of Honor fan. The name of Nigel McGuinness is notorious with professional wrestling. You can't deny that. Austin can't deny that. I can't deny that. You just got to get involved and show if you really ever really cared about anything in this world to get involved with. That's going to give you a feeling of a good feeling that you took part in something special. Take a look at LAfights.com.
Let's just say this. I've done a lot of stuff in my life thus far in my short term of being here on this earth. I get crap for that. Oh, well, he's only 17 years old. Why is he on this? I think this is probably one of the best things that I ever had the opportunity to actually help out and back, really, and honestly. And this is something that if it's funded, it's going to be one of the game changers when it comes to professional wrestling, MMA as a whole, and even in the acting world. I think this is going to be something that nobody's ever seen before. Actually, I'm absolutely sure nobody's ever seen anything like this before. I don't think. Have you seen anything like this before, Felix?
I can't think of anything in the last 5 to 10 years.
I didn't think so. LAfights.com. Check out the video. Nigel McGuinness, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. I think he can go neck and neck with anybody. Still to this day, I don't think he's going to say it, but I hope, and this is one of the reasons why I backed it. Not the only reason, but one of it's just extra cherry on top of the cake here, or the ice cream that we mentioned earlier. If this is that, Nigel is getting back in the ring. And he's always denied. He's like, I'm never going to get back in the ring, no matter what. But in this atmosphere, he's going to get back in the ring. LAfights.com. Fund it. Help out and spread it around the world. Share it on your Facebook machines, your Twitter machines. Like Billy Ray would say, your fire-breathing Twitter machines and Instagram machines. Share it everywhere you can.
And with that, folks, we're going to go ahead and bring this show to a close. Check out next week's show on Tuesday night. We bring back the Von Erich boys for a fun-filled show that you all just don't want to miss. On behalf of myself and Austin, Nate, we missed you, buddy. We'll get you next time. We thank you for joining us tonight, and we hope you have a great 2015. Keep on rocking, because the best is yet to come. Let's make this a good year, folks. Good night, everybody. And before I sign off, I haven't signed off like I normally do. I got to keep it going now. Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Good night, everybody. Good night, Austin.
Good night, man.